So the first Modern Warfare beta is over. If you missed it, don't worry. I'm Lee, you're with the Essential Gamer, and we're going to cover everything that we noticed. So first off, I think it's fair to say it's been a pretty successful beta as far as sort of first releases go. There's not been any major connectivity issues besides the first sort of few hours of play, and the game modes and things that they introduced have been quite interesting. Myself, I've been playing the Domination mode. I love that. I loved it anyway, and it feels more well thought out on these maps. They seem constructed for this game mode, and it really showed. To me, it was very pleasant to play, not infuriating in the slightest. Don't get me wrong, it's still Call of Duty, so you still die all the time, but it's not quite so harsh. Throughout the beta weekend they introduced new modes, and one of them was the night vision goggle mode, which looks very pretty. It was sort of there was a workaround where people were just taking the goggles off and turning the TV brightness up so you could see in the dark. As you can see, it's properly nighttime, but you can sort of fluff your settings and negate the settings that they'd put into the game, which is a shame. Other modes included realism, which is basically hardcore mode, so there's no UI at all, except for your friendly and enemy dots above their character heads. So this was a bit more of an intense and realistic affair. Gun game returned. Speaking of intense,
I've gone left.
walk off. Everything's me. After a successful alpha, I expected to see this mode come back. But I think the biggest intrigue and the biggest addition to the game has been the gunsmith. I don't know if many other players really paid too much attention to it, but it's where you upgrade your weapons. So you level your weapons as you use them, and you unlock different bits and bobs. But they've made it more so now. You can add perks to the weapon, you can change individual pieces to create a one-of-a-kind-ish or specific to you weapon to use, something to your liking. And there's all pros and cons to each part, and it's quite in-depth. What I did like is the fact that you can do it on the fly in the match, so you're using a sight you don't like this toggle, this 4 times. Get rid of the hybrid, I'm going to switch it out for just a regular 2 times. As long as I do it before the round begins or I start firing or anything like that. Done. I love that. That is a great addition. This, along with all the other things they've added, I've really enjoyed. What I yet to know is if the character selection is going to be anything more than aesthetic. I hope it's just you pick a dude that looks cool and that's it. They don't have any special abilities. My favourite is Kruger because he wears a neck curtain on his head. And why the hell not? So they've added the perk system, which all Call of Duty heads will know about, and there's some very good perks in there, some new ones, some old ones that you'll recognise. But what I have noticed within this selection of perks for this particular Modern Warfare is that they tend to double up. Like, you can select a perk that will help another perk to be more effective. All the equipment's there, the tactical and lethal equipments like claymores, bombs, stickies. There's some new ones as well, so it's going to take some getting used to. The kill streaks, however, have had a total overhaul. There are some familiar faces like the UAV, the care package, the Juggernaut suit has returned in all of its horrible glory. I mean, these things will be great to see in the match, but one thing I will say is I'm glad they had these little demo videos, because actually during a match, physically being able to see any of the kill streaks besides the sort of explosion or death that it causes doesn't really happen. Like, for instance, this is a spectacle that I imagine once the full game is released will be quite amazing to look at. But you won't see anything except the explosions on the floor. So it's a bit of a shame, but for what it's worth, this gunship was a favourite for Modern Warfare 2, and it's back, and I'm really happy about that. Some of the others, like the phosphorus, have obviously got bad word. It's not something that should be used in warfare as far as some people are concerned, but I think, fuck you, it's a game. If you want a tank or you want to bring in some sort of cruise missile, go for it. And if it's going to look this good and be this fun to do, I have absolutely no problem with it. Elsewhere, there's field upgrades. Now this is where Call of Duty starts to feel more like Battlefield, because these are things that you'll use to either help yourself or help your team within the game. And I say it feels like they're trying to bring a team element into Call of Duty, and I like it. And I will say that although my favourite mode was the domination mode, which is a very team focused, objective heavy game mode, very Battlefield-esque, it's still being played like Call of Duty. You've got your COD runners who just set off from the front, sprinting everywhere, trying to murder everyone, and it doesn't necessarily always work, but c'est la vie. Overall, I honestly think it was a very, very strong beta for Call of Duty, and Infinity Ward have done a great job of making a game that feels like the original Call of Duties. More boots on the ground. There's some tactical work to be done. There's also some running headfirst into gunfire to be done, but it wouldn't be Call of Duty if there wasn't. But what it does do well is the gunplay, the actual intensity of warfare. I will say it doesn't feel as intense as Battlefield 5 can do at times, which is a bit of a shame, but I'm looking forward to the new mode, because in the second beta, Ground War, 32-man teams battling it out. There'll be vehicles you can call in, there'll be vehicles there. I hope you're going to get the beta. I will look forward to shooting you in the face within a gaming capacity. Until then, thank you for watching. My name's Lee. Goodbye. Fucking hell! Oh, that was unbelievable.